We may have just had the most devastating evidence yet in the Donald Trump election cases. As soon as we heard that 3 of Trump's lawyers had flipped on him, we knew it would be really awful for Trump. And now, thanks to some leaked interviews with prosecutors, we're beginning to get a pretty clear picture of just how bad it is. The first one, and this is quick, ABC News got a hold of some footage of Sidney Powell. You know, release the Kraken.
Release the Kraken!
Talking to prosecutors, and here's the key part.
Sidney Powell also told prosecutors Trump was determined to stay in power, despite his aides repeatedly telling him he lost.
What was President Trump's reaction when this cadre of advisors would say, you lost?
It was like, they would say that and then they'd walk out and he'd go, see, this is what I deal with all the time.
This is really important. All of Trump's advisors were telling him he had lost. As MSNBC legal analyst Barb McQuaid told me on my podcast, Beyond Politics, this destroys one of Trump's defenses.
In a case like this, it is the prosecution's burden to prove that he had the guilty intent, that he knew he had lost the election. Criminal law requires mens rea, a guilty mind, a criminal intent. The fact that we've got now 3 lawyers saying we knew these things were false is very important. A person may not ignore a high probability that a fact is true simply by putting his head in the sand. Now, in addition, you're going to have Sidney Powell and Jenna Ellis and Kenneth Chesebro all saying the same thing. The evidence is sounding pretty overwhelming about the idea that, of course, Trump had to know, even if he didn't admit that he knew, that he had lost the election.
That leads us to the second one from former Trump White House lawyer Jenna Ellis. She tells prosecutors that even though everyone around Trump knew he had lost, he still wasn't planning to give up power.
What was Dan Scavino's role?
At the time it became Deputy Chief of Staff, at the time that the conversation in question took place.
Okay, and when was that?
The conversation was around December 19th of 2020 at the White House Christmas party. And I emphasized to him, I thought that the claims and the ability to challenge the election results was essentially over, because he said to me in a kind of excited tone, well, we don't care and we're not going to leave. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, the boss, meaning President Trump, and everyone understood the boss, that's what we all called him. He said the boss is not going to leave under any circumstances. We are just going to stay in power. And I said to him, well, it doesn't quite work that way, you realize. And he said, we don't care.
As chilling as that is, what's really significant about it is that it really nailed down Trump's state of mind. Here's CNN legal analyst Norm Eisen explaining what a huge deal this is.
When we heard those words, the boss is not going to leave under any circumstances. We are just going to stay in power, but you lost. We don't care. That summarizes what the prosecution's case in Georgia and federally is all about. The illegitimate desire to hang on to the White House, even though you lost the election. Dynamite video from Jenna Ellis, and she's going to be the star witness against Trump now.
We don't have video of this next one, but Kenneth Chesebro, whatever, has apparently told prosecutors, according to the Washington Post, that he briefed Donald Trump and offered advice on assembling slates of fake electors in key battlegrounds. Remember, these fake electors are illegal. It's fraud. And that gets us to our final clip. This is former prosecutor and former U.S. Congressman Paul Hodes explaining why, when you look at the whole picture together, it's so bad for Trump.
It's not great for Donald Trump to have his former lawyers, who are the inside people on the conspiracy, telling us exactly how the conspiracy worked and what Donald Trump knew about it. What Cheeseboro does is he places Donald Trump being briefed by the guys who are doing the dirty work about the dirty work. So it makes it really hard for Trump to say, I didn't know anything about these schemes. It's smoking gun time for the Donald. A conspiracy is an agreement among 2 or more people to do something illegal. It doesn't have to be express. It can be implied. There's nothing in Cheeseboro's statement that suggests that Trump said, wait, that's illegal. You can't do that. Don't do that. So his silence is acquiescence. It's evidence of the agreement that the illegal things be done.
We don't have all of the pieces of the puzzle, But from what we do have, prosecutors are putting the picture together in a really powerful way. Trump knew he lost, and he was determined to do illegal things to hold on to the presidency, and we now have testimony about him being briefed on the details of the conspiracy. Put it all together, and it's like that line from the movie The Color of Money.
It's like a nightmare, isn't it? It just keeps getting worse and worse.